The Toronto Maple Leafs and Florida Panthers are going toe-to-toe in what is sure to be a spicy series. But do the Toronto Maple Leafs have a goaltending issue? Let's talk all about it and get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is good, my fantasy fanatics? Welcome back inside the lab to your daily 30-minute source for hockey news, betting breakdowns, and all of the fantasy takes that you need to be ready for next season. It's the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast coming in hot for a spicy Tuesday edition, taking a look at Game 1 of the Toronto Maple Leafs and Florida Panthers, and there is fantasy fallout to be had in this one, Steele, because we got to talk goaltenders. Some have caught my eye for a good reason, some for a bad, but we also got to talk about what's going on tonight on the ice with bets. Canes going toe-to-toe with the Caps, and you know it's about to pop off between Vegas and Edmonton as well.
Yes,
Shout out
sir.
to everydayers making us your first listen, holding us down every single day. Mr. Rodin, we spoke a little bit last night about that play by Sam Bennett. Over to you for your take. What did you see, and how are you feeling after Game 1?
I mean, obviously, I don't feel great after what happened and transpired with Anthony Stolarz. It's great to get Game 1 win and take the 1-0 series in round 2 against the Florida Panthers. And honestly, it's a little nerve-wracking hearing and seeing what happened to Anthony Stolarz. He left Scotiabank Arena on a stretcher en route to the hospital. Yep. So clearly something happened and left him dazed. You know, at one point during the game, he actually had to skate to the bench and apparently was throwing up in a bucket off to the side. So I think once the management and coaching and the concussion protocol guys saw that, they pulled him from the game, and from there on, they had to take him to the hospital. But I think we all need to understand where it started from. It all started from the Sam Reinhart shot that was 95 miles per hour right on the chin earlier in the game. It started from that point. And then I think the elbow or flying arm from Sam Bennett just added on top of that and clearly hit him in the back left portion of his head. And the thing that I was contemplating and thinking about was, how many times can we let Sam Bennett potentially cross the line? You go back years ago where, there's video evidence of so many things of him potentially crossing the line. Again, it's all debatable here and there, but you go back 2 years ago where he cross-checked Michael Bunting in the back of the neck twice in the span of 5 seconds. You go back to where he took out Matthew Nyes with a WWE takedown, which left him with a concussion as well in that playoff series. You go back again, I can't remember if it was 2 years ago or last year, where he got that little slight right-hand cross to Brad Marchand, which left him in the daze. So there's been countless times now with Sam Bennett of him potentially crossing a line. It's always debatable. This is a player that I do like and I do have respect for playing a physical game and what he does for any organization. But there comes a time where, how many times can the NHL player safety department really just let him get away with it? And again, maybe it wasn't him that initially set off Stolarz with this injury, but he was a contributing factor, and he knows what he's doing. You even go,
yes, he does.
At the end of the game with Matthew Tkachuk, I don't know if you saw that video, but Matthew Tkachuk literally doing everything he can to try and injure Mitch Marner, sticks out his knee, cross-checks him. Mitch Marner skates away. The period's over. He skates over and cross-checks him again. So that's the type of players the Florida Panthers and Paul Maurice are pushing right now. And honestly, I'm kind of getting sick and tired of it, of how dirty they play.
It seems like a bit of a dangerous play, and I know we might be overanalyzing this, but this is the second round of the postseason, Game 1, and Stolarz has been sensational and so critical to this new-look Leaf, the whole vibe, making big saves, being kind of stoic in there, and to see a guy puking on the side because one of the greasier players in the league decides to skate right through. And what kind of killed me about this deal, and we'll move on because I'm excited to talk more about all of these goaltenders in the playoffs, and there's there's some that I think we have to be wary of heading into next season. We'll talk about tonight's bets just quickly. He pulls his arm in after his second stride through the crease. I watched it like 30 times. So he knew that wing was out there a little bit. And
he knows what he's doing.
I know they're friends. I understand that he's not out to injure anybody, but you made the point and you nailed it on the head. He knows exactly what he's doing. And look at what is happening now. Joseph Woll thrust into action, 20 shots on net, 17 saves. Didn't exactly look awful, but didn't look great either. And now, headed into game 2, there is, in my mind, very little chance that Anthony Stolarz gets the start in game 2. Joseph Woll, you're in the frying pan now, straight out the fryer, because this is now a situation for Woll and the Toronto Maple Leafs that is precarious, very precarious, Steele. Headed into next season, however, I do see a lot of value in Joseph Woll, and I see some value in some other goaltenders around the league. And if you're okay, I'd actually like to start with one that I'm a little bit wary of. If you're ready to go there, we can go there after the break. We can go there whenever you want if you're done with the Leafs.
Yeah, let's just to be sure, we're talking about goaltenders all NHL or just in the playoffs right now?
Postseason players that I've seen that I want to start with Mackenzie Blackwood because this Colorado Avalanche situation, I still see Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar. We know that this team is still going to be heard from in terms of being a team to go to for fantasy value. But with all of the changes, the Mikko Rantanen situation, new goaltenders, and statistics from Mackenzie Blackwood, .892 save percentage, .271 goals against. We were so high on Mackenzie Blackwood down the stretch. Big win player, definitely have some fantasy value. But this is a guy that just because he's on the Avalanche and had a good end of the regular season, he has been a backup his whole career for a reason. And just remember that when you go to potentially reach on him come draft season. He's one of those players that right now, Steele, I had my eye on him, but for a very different reason than some of these other goalies.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you never want to reach on a goaltender. And I think when you get outside the top 3 guys, maybe even the top 4, like Igor Shesterkin, Connor Hellebuyck, Andrei Vasilevsky, you kind of do see goaltenders drop a little bit more. I wouldn't take Mackenzie Blackwood, obviously, in the top 3 rounds, but I really like what he did this season. And even though he has been a perennial backup goaltender throughout his entire career, this is, again, we've talked about this. This is what happens to a goaltender that gets onto a Stanley Cup contending team, that gets into a superstar level team in the NHL right now. And it's happened for so many guys. Aiden Hill's one of them, Darcy Kemper now as well, from his days with the Arizona Coyotes. And I think Mackenzie Blackwood is a perfect example of that. This is a guy that you clearly don't want to reach on because there's still that question mark in the back of the head. But after a really good season with a really good team, he's definitely one of the goaltenders that's going to be taken first off the board.
Interesting. I guess what I'm trying to say is still keep your finger on the pulse and don't miss an opportunity. I heard it on the broadcast with the Leafs just the other night. The way that you get a leg up, whether analyzing fantasy or anything with any sport, the more you watch, the more you know these little angles for all these big players, the better off you will be. I got a couple of other guys to get off the list, Steele. Before we get to bets for tonight's 2-game Tuesday night board, I got a same-game parlay ready to ride, Steele, and I will be here the rest of the week, 5 days a week, until that cup gets lifted. And we got a little message from our friends and today's sponsors.
An award-winning mattress can change your life. I speak from experience. It happened to me. After years of uncomfortable sleeps, I recently switched to Bear Mattress, and the results were instant. Bear Mattress is designed with a focus on recovery, cooling, and pressure relief to upgrade your sleep and improve your overall quality of life. I used to deal with night sweats, but Bear's best-in-class cooling ensures optimal temperature regulation, which prevents overheating and helps me stay comfortable all night long. Bear offers a wide variety of mattresses, but to get the right one for you, take their sleep quiz that matches you to your perfect mattress based on body type and sleep preferences. Go to bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout to get 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com. Use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, and leave a 5-star review for your boys here, Livingstone and Steele Rodin. Thank you so much for tuning in for this Tuesday episode, making us your first listen every single day. Highlighting some goaltenders going into next year's fantasy hockey draft, both positive and negative impacts that can have if you draft these guys. And, maybe we are looking at Mackenzie Blackwood a little bit differently. I don't think we're going to be looking at these two guys any differently as well. I mean, for the most part, I feel like we should be on the same page, but who knows? I know you do like these two goaltenders that I want to talk about. And for me, these are two guys that I'm staying away from. I've lost a lot of confidence in what they can do for their organization. I lost confidence in what they can do for my fantasy hockey team, because that's very important to me. I keep that near and dear to my heart here.
Yes, you do.
Number one, Stuart Skinner. I mean, I think you have to agree with me on this. Like,
totally.
There's not a lot of points you can make that are positive for this guy right now. And he's been on a downward spiral the last 3 years. When you look at him in the regular season, 2022-23 finished with a .913 save percentage and a 2.75 goals against average. The year after that, he slightly goes down. It's still pretty good, a .905 save percentage. This season right now, .896 save percentage in the regular season. And then look at what he's done in the postseason. I mean, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked at what I'm seeing. He's only played 2 games, and he has an .810 save percentage and a 6.11 goals against average. If it wasn't for Calvin Pickard, Edmonton could have lost that first round series against the LA Kings. So I'm leaving Stuart Skinner off my list. There's maybe a 10% chance I draft him for my fantasy hockey team. It really depends on how far he drops in the draft. Right beside him, I'm going with your other guy, Pyotr Kochetkov. I've lost a lot of confidence in what this goaltender can do right now. So many times throughout the season, he would let in 2 goals, 3 goals on the first 7 shots of the game. Many times it was the first shot of the game. And I didn't like what I saw from him this year. Even though he had a really good record of 27, 16, and 3 with 2 shutouts, an .897 save percentage from Kochetkov this year. And I'm a little bit nervous. Again, if Frederik Andersen, for some odd reason, goes down again to injury, Kochetkov is not a guy that I have a lot of confidence in to come in relief and do a really good job in order to get the Hurricanes deep into the Eastern Conference Finals.
First and foremost, what gets me hot under the collar is talking about goaltenders in the fantasy game. You know that has been an issue for me big time over the course of my fantasy career. Thank you for bringing up Stuart Skinner. Quickly on Kochetkov, I think the outlook is much more positive for him on a very good defensive-minded hockey club, and I think the book is still a little bit out on him. Can I disagree with you on those points? No, because you're right, and at times he did look very shaky, but at other times he looks very much capable of being a number 1 goaltender. Still young. Book is still out. I'm with you. I'm being very wary about him. I would love him, though, as a security blanket 3rd fantasy goalie. You got 2 good starters, and you got him as a security blanket, because you know what happens with Freddie. He gets hurt. It's just a fact. At some point, that guy's missing time. I will say this before I get to the final 2 goalies that I do really like headed into next season. The Edmonton Oilers have to do something different in net. This offseason has to be focused on, I don't know if it's you do something like what the Avs did and you bring in 2 solid kind of number 2 guys in Wedgwood and Blackwood with upside to be a number 1 in Blackwood, or do you go out there and really, and I know in today's NHL, it's like extremely hard / impossible to just go out there and get a number 1 guy, but it happens. Look at what the New Jersey Devils just did. There can be something to be done, because I'm with you. Stuart Skinner, in my opinion, is cooked, which is somewhat unfortunate because last postseason, he had his struggles, but then he played sensational at points for this Edmonton Oilers team. So I think the outlook for him, far less rosy than Kochetkov. Don't give up on my boy Piotr just yet. 2 goalies that I think have done themselves a whole world of good this postseason. One of them still playing, one of them not. Steele, quickly. Sam Montembeault, I got my eyes on Sam Montembeault for next season because not only is this Montreal Canadiens team going to be one that you want to target, Hudson, Suzuki,
Couldn't agree
Demidov,
more.
Hudson, a whole bunch of really sneaky under the radar guys as well. Sam Montembeault is going to benefit from this team improving on the back end and up front. And I think his postseason performance, 908 save percentage, 276 goals against, considering the team they were up against, was sensational. Good segue into LT, a good Brock Badger. Logan Thompson is starting to really win me over, Steele, because if he has another good round, 923 save percentage, leads the NHL in the postseason. He stopped all but 11 goals in that first round, and I think he has really kind of solidified himself as a solid top 10 fantasy option and just top 10 goalie in this league.
Yeah, he definitely has. He's earned that right after this spectacular season with Washington. He's continued to do so in the postseason. I also have Sam Montembeault. I'm also going to throw in Jacob Dobish in this conversation as well, because I would really like to see, not that I believe it's going to be a 50-50 split, because I do think Sam Montembeault has earned the right to be the number one guy, at least 1A and 1B in this conversation. I would like to see Montembeault play somewhere around 50, 52 games, give 30 to 32 games to Dobish and kind of split it that way, because that might have been a factor in what happened this postseason with Montembeault getting injured. He's never played more than 40 games in a year. He played 62 games this season in the regular season. Obviously a big portion, big factor in them getting into the playoff. He was spectacular for the first 2 games before he got injured. And again, not that it was Jacob Dobish's fault when he came in relief, because I thought he played absolutely spectacular as well in the last few games of that first round series against Washington. I just think it was too much for Montreal to handle. And this is an experienced team. This is a team that has absolute legends on them. They changed the dynamic and culture in the offseason to get to this point with all the guys they added in the offseason. And they got this to this point for a reason. And again, the lack of experience, I think, is what got the Montreal Canadiens in trouble. But they played a really good series. The goaltending was great from both.
That's a team on the rise for sure.
That is a team on the rise. That is going to be a fantasy gold mine when we talk about this in the offseason. And Montembeault and Dobish, to me, are 2 goaltenders you want to keep in your notepad and circled up going into next year's fantasy hockey draft.
Good young tandem, good young team. Never too early, too late, or at a time in the season that you think you shouldn't be paying attention. Trust me, there are GMs out there taking note, making preparations, and getting ready to go, because, Steele, before long, you and I are going to be doing mock drafts, top 10 breakdowns at every position, special guests on to make sure we're ready to go for draft season. And I know some leagues like to go off real early near the end of the summer. So get your notepad out, get the research going, and make sure you smash that follow button and stay tapped in.
Stay tapped in for after the break. Big time bets. 2 games on the schedule. Round 2, game 1s. Edmonton, Vegas, Washington, Carolina. Big time bets coming up next. This episode is also brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, we love the no-shell variety. It's the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days, whether we're snacking at the desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to snack. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. And once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review. Flip and I appreciate all that love and support you show us. Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning is when you can find our episodes. This week, you You'll most likely find them late in the evening, 6, 7 p.m. is when we'll be getting them. We're going to get them out before game times every single day. Flip, over to you, my friend. Where you looking first?
Yeah, this is now at the point of the season, Steele, that let's be clear too, as Leafs fans, take off this analyst hat for a second. That game on Monday night was absolute chaos. And yeah, they squeak out the win, but you lose Stolarz. You allow 3 unanswered goals in the third period, and this Florida Panthers team is going to throw the kitchen sink at you in game 2. So I'm a little bit exasperated, but I'm going to try and throw some good picks on the board here. And I really do understand that the series between the Canes and the Caps is going to be a good one. But I am much more excited to watch the Edmonton Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights, and that's exactly where I'm looking. Let me just get it out of the way early. I stuck with the Oilers all season long, and I'm going to stick with them now. And I took them in 6, and I think this game 1 is absolutely critical. So, same game parlay. Oilers on the money line. We know that I think it was 1 win and 2 losses for the Oilers this regular season. Vegas actually, kind of took it to them at times during the regular season. However, I really like the Oilers. I like the over 5.5. To me, this one has over written all over it. I'm going to take it down to 5.5. If it's 6 anywhere, don't do it. Take it to 5.5. I think both goalies are going to have a little bit of trouble in this one. That's my prediction here. And let me get down to the brass tacks. Connor McDavid, in his regular season career against the Vegas Golden Knights, 23 games, 29 points. And Steele, the last time these two teams played, 2023, Connor McDavid had 5 goals and 5 assists in 6 games. That's 4 multi-point games. Hit me with Connor McDavid to do just that. 2+ points as my lock of the night, something he did 4 times the last time these two teams met in the playoffs.
That is an honorable mention. I also had McDavid 2+ points right there on this list. That goes right there along with my Draisaitl anytime goal. I'm staying away from money lines. I don't know which way it's going to go tonight with these 2 games, so I'm staying away from that. But I love the McDavid 2+ points. It goes well with my Draisaitl anytime goal, maybe on the power play. Let's see that happen tonight against Vegas. My 2 other picks come from the Hurricanes and Capitals game. Capitals, Canes, I'm going with the under 6.5 in this matchup. I like the goaltending battle of Logan Thompson and Frederik Andersen. I think it's going to be a physical game, obviously, from both teams. 3 out of the 4 games in the regular season went under the number. So I'm teasing it up to the 6.5, but I'm going to take the under in this matchup. I'm also locking it with Ovechkin 4+ shots in this matchup. I
love that one.
In the 4 games in the regular season, 3 times he had 4 or more shots in a game against the Carolina Hurricanes. I think Ovechkin's going to be obviously sitting in his office right there waiting to go. He's going to be looking for those fast breaks, get a couple shots off. So Ovechkin 4+ shots, I believe it's at +110 right now. If you want to go the 3+ shot route, it's not a lot of juice. It's -210. So I like the odds there at 4 shots for Ovechkin. That is my lock of the night.
Let's have a big week, Steele. I can't wait already to talk about the next set of games. We'll be here every single night breaking it down, trying to bring these fantasy angles for you guys, and make sure you're prepared for next fantasy draft season.
That's what we do here. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen. For your second listen, you got to check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. From your boys here, Flip, Livingstone, and Steele Rodin, we wish you good luck with your bets, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.